Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Just going to do a little flashback on a story we did the other day about Professor Eljamel at Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee. He is this butcher who operated on hundreds of people, alleging that he was a brain surgeon. Turns out he was near a tree surgeon. He's caused no end of issues, damage, horrendous, life-changing sort of operations on people. And there's been major calls for a full public inquiry. Calls that from the SNP side have been rejected because they don't want to highlight how bad the NHS has got under them. Well, now, for the first time, someone from the SNP has joined on the campaign side calling for the public inquiry, and we thank Jim Fairley, the first SNP backbencher, for doing this, for standing up finally for what's right and going against the party line. So, a small tip hat to Jim Fairley, but we will have a look at this now to see why even now they're still kind of rejecting this call, even when it's now starting to go through and filter through to their own backbenchers starting to call for it. Here goes. So the first SNP backbencher backs campaigners calling for the public inquiry into shamed surgeon Eljamel. I think surgeon is carrying a lot of weight in that sentence. That's the last thing he is. He is a butcher. The victims of the former Tayside surgeon say they won't stop their campaign for a public inquiry as they push on with attempts to get more MSPs on board. And we finally have one from the SNP. Which, you have to ask why they don't want one. Why are they so reticent against offering this public inquiry into a man that should never have been given the opportunity to do the things he's done? A man who lied in his set of qualifications, Hamza Yousaf's backbencher has taken the side of campaigners who are calling for Scottish Government to grant a public inquiry into the scandal of the NHS Tayside surgeon Sam Eljamel. He was at the, as I say at the beginning, the Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee. SNP MSP Jim Fairley said he can't see another way for victims to get the answers that they need, and breaking with the First Minister's assertion that an independent review is the answer. No, we don't want an independent review. They want an independent review because it won't be quite so independent. They get to pick and choose who they heads the review, and of course, as a review, there's no legally binding mandate on it, whereas as an inquiry, there is, and that's why they don't want to go for an inquiry. An inquiry will force them, of course, to answer the questions, which they really, really don't ever want to answer. Speaking to the Scottish Express, victim and campaigner Jules Rose celebrated the little win and said, like Hillsborough campaigners, we won't stop. It's their intention to launch a graphic demonstration at Holyrood this week that will build on previous instances where campaigners wore blood-soaked hospital gowns. An excellent optic, because this man, Eljamel, is certainly blood-soaked. Blood-soaked with the people that he so badly traumatised. They said they'd be focusing their efforts on getting more MSPs to back their cause. Already, the likes of Tory leader Douglas Ross and Labour's Jackie Bailey have joined them. And it's nice to see you're getting that cross-party support, because, of course, this isn't a party issue. This is a humanitarian issue. This is something where, regardless of your political outlook, you want to look after people. And that is quite correct. So when you're getting polar opposites, like I say, Ross and Bailey, coming together, then you know it is a righteous campaign looking for the truth and looking to give answers to those who've suffered. She said, I am the Anne Williams of the Eljamel case, said Miss Rhodes, referring to the Justice campaigner whose son Kevin was killed in the 1989 football tragedy, who spent the rest of her life as an activist until she died at the age of 62. A recent report into Professor Eljamel, who worked at the NHS Tayside between 1995 and 2013, revealed he was suspended by the board following 3 months of indirect supervision as a result of complaints, with the supervision deemed inadequate in the report released this week. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of complaints, both from patients families, from staff, and even from other surgeons in the hospital. And still, the management failed to put in either anything saying, right, you've got to stop doing it, or at the very least, having direct, over-the-shoulder supervision, basically monitoring everything he was doing to make sure that he was up to standard. They failed to do that. And so that's an oversight, and that could possibly lead to court cases against the management for failure to safeguard patients. And let's hope that that's exactly what it comes to. And they go after them, okay, because it's a health and safety issue. They can go after them as individuals as well as the hospital as an organisation. And that's what they want to do, and then take their houses from them. He also faced a legal claim in February 13, but operated on a further 111 patients in the following 6 months, causing utter mayhem to these people. Miss Rose told the Scottish Express there was nothing new in the latest report. We will continue to put pressure on the Scottish Government and MSPs, and it is a great thing that Jim Fairley got on board. In a letter to SNP Health Chief Mr Matheson, after meeting with a constituent, Miss Rose, Mr Fairley, the Perthshire South and Kinrossshire MSP said, I have very real concerns that without the ability to compel witnesses to appear, which is what an inquiry can do but a review can't, the only way we get answers needed by the patients who are Eljamel's victims, and for the wider peace of mind and security of the patients going forward, is to have an independent public inquiry. And that's the difference, because one is a legal thing and one is just, please come along if you want to and answer some questions. If they don't want to, there's no compunction. He said, I've taken due diligence and given the matter my thorough consideration. I have not been persuaded that there's a better way of achieving the outcome that satisfies the wishes of my constituent and of the other victims of Eljamel. He says, I firmly believe this is the right thing to do in this distressing case. And it is feared that Mr Yousaf's independent review into the scandal will allow key witnesses to get off the hook if they do not want to appear. And Mr Yousaf has warned a public inquiry may take much longer for patients to get the answers they desperately want. However, the Scottish Government has been rejecting calls for an inquiry since 2015, when Deputy First Minister Shona Robertson was the Health Secretary. They've been rejecting it because they know the truth, and the truth is that they are ultimately responsible at the time. This has been going on for quite some time, so it's about time they had the inquiry. Coming up. Now, of course, right at the end there was that little bit of spin and bullshit they put about, an inquiry means you've got to wait longer for the answers. These people have been waiting 8 years, and they've been pushing every day for 8 years. They're prepared to wait for the answers. The difference is, with an inquiry, there will be answers. With a review, there most certainly will not. And that is why, of course, the SNP have been resisting the inquiry. They don't want answers. Answers to them would be damaging. Anyway, I shall stop there. And well done, like I say, to Mr Fairley. Well done for coming on board. A few more of you come on board, maybe change the direction and, force their hand and make sure that a public inquiry is held. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well. Do please hit the subscribe button, because this is a story that will run and run. We want to know the answers to it. And until next time, goodbye.